Hi. This is the MoviePlot channel and this is the movie Age of Survival. A little girl and her father, in the form of a flying drone, genetically improve plants to save humanity. The film begins with a brief exposition in the form of credits. The future. In an effort to save itself from ecological disaster, humanity has been playing around with genetic technology. As everything was done through a known place, new microorganisms broke free, leading to the destruction of all edible animals and plants, as well as partially the humans themselves. The survivors huddled in so-called citadels, where strict population control and the latest technology helped them survive. The rest eke out a miserable existence on barren land, forced to trade the seeds of plants genetically programmed so that the fruit that grows from them does not produce offspring for the city oligarchs. In the opening scene, the protagonist Vesper, along with a flying drone operated by her father, digs through the dirt in search of edible roots. After digging up some provisions, the girl returns home, carefully avoiding the tentacles of predatory plants sticking out of the ground. Inside, she prepares a nutritious mixture, which she pours into a bag which, in turn, she hangs next to her seriously ill father's bed to feed him through a tube. After feeding the dependent, the heroine heads off to the lab. Her father's telepathically controlled drone flies with her. Inside, the girl converses with the time-dried dead man, and gathers the necessary instruments for her own scientific experiments. She is interrupted by a suspicious noise outside, the source of which is one of the pilgrims, sick people collecting all sorts of junk and carrying it away somewhere. Returning home, Vesper notices that the guard of predatory tentacles has been interrupted by someone. With a knife in her hand, she sneaks into the house, but no one is there. The girl goes to the nearest settlement for help, where she witnesses a terrifying scene. The locals, with traces of genetic degeneration on their faces, flank a wounded jag, an artificially bred in vitro creature, to work. The village elder, Jonas, appears. He forces the perpetrator of the incident to finish off the wounded jag to put it out of its misery. Though not at once, the lad cuts up the worker with a knife. After telling him to remove the body, Jonas talks to Vesper, who is his niece. The girl asks her uncle for the necessary repairs, but he refuses to help for free. Times are harsh. She is the heroine's blood, which Jonas uses in trading with the Citadel. When she asks to settle accounts with her, her uncle orders her to come back in a couple of days. Blood must be sold first. But her father won't last that long, so the girl wants to take the liquid. But she doesn't succeed. Later, Vesper returns to the village to sneak in. When she tries to sneak into the house unnoticed, one of Jonas' children, a boy who has been drawing blood from his finger, bumps into her. But he says nothing, allowing the heroine to carry out her plan. But in addition to the parts for the generator, she also steals seeds from which her uncle unsuccessfully tries to grow a crop. At home she shows her father the stolen seeds, which she wants to try to genetically unlock so that they will produce offspring naturally. The next day, wandering through the woods, the girl finds a wounded woman who has arrived, judging by her clothing, from the Citadel. She is already surrounded by blood-sucking plants. Noticing that she is still breathing, Vesper disconnects the blood-sucking tourniquets and drags the body home, where she treats the wounds and pulls out the vermin. Her father is unhappy that she brought in an outsider, but the heroine thinks she did the right thing. The rescued one could be her ticket to a better life within the walls of the Citadel. Meanwhile, a woman named Camellia wakes up and hides a knife under her pillow. She asks Vesper where her companion is. He must be found. Vesper, contrary to her father's words, promises to find the other passenger, but in the morning, because it is not good to be out in the woods at night. In the evening the girl tries to feed her guest, but she is not used to eating soup with maggots and caterpillars, even if they carefully chose the juiciest. And Vesper tells her that her father was a Citadel soldier until he was wounded. The drone is all his employers rewarded him with for his service. Suddenly, the sick man has an attack. Camellia pacifies him with a kiss, after which he is forgotten by a sound sleep. In the morning, the heroine and her drone set out to find the crashed glider. She finds the vehicle in a valley, following a trail of shrapnel. Vesper does not have time to open the door when Jonas and his men appear. Seeing the wounded man from the Citadel inside, Jonas strangles him instead of helping him, despite his niece's tears and pleas. Realizing that there is a second passenger somewhere, the uncle asks the girl if she has met anyone, but she lies so as not to betray Camellia. When she returns home, she lies to her guest as well, saying that she has found nothing. At night, Vesper takes Camellia to her garden, where the plants she has created grow. In the house, the girl talks about her mother. She once fell ill and left with the pilgrims. Then they look at a book about animals. Camellia, who grew up in a better environment, tells the girl about the habits of extinct creatures. After arranging with her father to summon people from the Citadel behind Camellia, the girl tries to sneak into her uncle's house the next day. He has the only transmitter for communications in the whole neighborhood. The drone flew out to investigate, but fell into the hands of Jonas. He is rummaging around in it when Vesper arrives. His uncle wonders why she has come and whether he knows who stole his seeds. He even had to punish his son who was on duty that day. Frightened by his sinister tone, Vesper grabs the drone at the first opportunity and runs off. Jonas follows and whistles a command to his sons. In the woods, the heroine launches the drone into flight, but it can barely keep its balance after being repaired. The girl goes down after it and stumbles upon the body of a dead boy, the same one who did not raise the alarm earlier. Soon the boys sent after her appear. They chase after Vesper and eventually catch her. While two hold her down, the third brandishes a red-hot iron on her arm. At home, the heroine is distraught and tries to fix the drone. Camellia comforts her, and eventually the girl confesses to her that her father, the glider's other passenger, is dead. She takes her guest to the forest, where his body lies in the swamp. Vesper notices the scar on Camellia's back and realizes that she is an artificially created jag, unique in its kind, endowed, unlike the others, with a full consciousness and personality. Together with her creator, she escaped for violating the law of intelligent jags. Vesper realizes that Camellia will not take her to the Citadel, as she cannot return there herself. This enrages her. She throws mud at the woman. Returning to her father, the heroine tells him what has happened. He remarks that the girl still needs to flee. Jonas has marked her as prey and will punish her for stealing. While they are talking, Camellia tries to kill herself in another room with a hidden knife, but she misses. At the cry of pain, Vesper rushes in and prevents her from completing what she started. Reconciling, the girl asks Camellia for permission to examine her genetic material. Vesper finds a blocked code in her DNA, just like the seeds of plants that have been deprived of the ability to reproduce. At the same time, Camellia reveals that her creator did not treat her as a daughter, but as a spouse. Remembering him, the guest begins to play the local version of the psaltery. The DNA suddenly responds to certain notes and with their help, Vesper manages to unlock the code. By adding Camelia's genetic material to the grains, the heroine manages to remove the breeding block from them as well. This discovery fundamentally changes the entire system of commodity market relations and, through the disruption of the economy, the entire established world order. Upon learning of this, her father tells Vesper to go with Camellia to another Citadel and exchange the unlocked seeds for a safe haven. To finish her experiments, the girl goes to the lab. In the meantime, Jonas comes to the house and finds Camellia there. He offers to go with him, threatening to kill her sick brother if she refuses. But noticing that she is not human, but a jag, Jonas tries to rape and then kill her. This is prevented by the return of Vesper and the drone. A fight breaks out between Jonas and the girls. It ends when he has a knife pinned to his hand on the table. The niece offers her uncle a deal. He leaves them alone, getting unlocked seeds in return. Then he will have his own crops and won't have to collect blood from the children to trade with the Citadel. Back in the village, however, the man contacts the Citadel by transmitter and surrenders the escaped jag. In the evening, while Vesper is busy experimenting, the house is attacked. First, a kind of sludge, resembling a rapidly growing mold, enters through a crack under the door. People climb away from it on the table, but it keeps coming and coming. Realizing that the soldiers are coming next, the father tells his daughter and Camellia to flee into the garden. He himself will try to convince his former colleagues that no one else is here. The soldiers, meanwhile, visit Jonas' house. He goes out to meet them and is shot in the head without talking. Drone meets the soldiers near the generator, which explodes after the shot, burying in flames not only Vesper's father, but also the soldiers who came for his soul. The girl, seeing the flames, rushes back in tears, but Camellia holds her back and brings her to her senses. They continue on their way to the garden, but the silent enforcers of the Citadel are already on their heels. Vesper uses his knowledge of the terrain and plant features to trap one of them between the red bushes. If they are disturbed, a swarm of aggressive fireflies will pierce the troublemaker. The girls hide behind the bushes until another plant gives them away with its squeaks. The soldier returns and a fight ensues between them. Vesper covers the glass of his helmet with mud, causing him to drop his cannon. Picking it up, the girl doesn't know how to fire it, but she thinks of throwing it into the bush. A disturbed swarm of fireflies rises from the thicket and attacks the warrior who is frozen nearby. Camellia, realizing that the soldiers will not stop chasing her, plans to go back and surrender. Vesper, in tears, begs her to stay and not leave her, but Jag, using a soporific kiss, puts the girl to sleep. After covering her body with dried leaves, Camellia goes into the garden, where the soldiers find her. Waking up in the morning in the woods on the ground after a heavy drinking spree, Vesper returns to the ashes where the house was. She plants some seeds in the blackened earth. She is caught doing this by the 4 Jonas children, who miraculously survived the night sweep. When Vesper leaves to find a new Citadel, they follow her. The children travel through the country, joining a string of pilgrims who haul the garbage they have collected in a direction they know only too well. After a few days, the travelers come to a huge man-made tower built by the pilgrims. Upon reaching the tower, Vesper, like Roland of Gilead, realizes that her journey is almost over. Leaving her companions below, the girl climbs up the fragile structure of the tower. Almost falling off in the process, she climbs to the observation deck overlooking the surrounding forest. She looks around and notices the giant domes of another Citadel nearby. However, rather than dismount and go there, Vesper takes out a seed and tosses it to the wind to scatter it and plant the surrounding land. And then, lo and behold, the fruits and vegetables will eventually spread across the land again. This is where the movie ends.